Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today's guest is Marty Bailey. Marty is a leadership and resilience coach who helps people show up fully and thrive in their life and their business. Marty works with their confidence and performance, and the one thing that most people overlook when they're trying to get ahead, being authentically themselves. This conversation is going to go deep. We're talking about what it really takes to lead yourself and others and what gets in the way of people showing up as who they truly are. So if you've ever felt like you're performing a version of yourself rather than living as yourself, then this one's for you. Marty, welcome to the next chapter, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No worries, mate. Okay, so before we get into the work that you do now, take me right back. Where did you grow up and what was life like for you?
Yeah, so people may not be able to hear it, but I was originally born in Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, people often say, "Oh, you don't have the accent," or "Oh, I can hear it." But yeah, I was raised in Liverpool, and it was great. I loved living in Aintree near the racecourse, and it was a great little community. Came from a really respectable family, but it was kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Half the family were very posh on one side, the other were the working class. It's like, oh, great, who am I today? But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic for me, that lifestyle, because you just had so much freedom in the city to be who you want to be and do what you want to do. But I ended up leaving there, moving to North Mid Wales when I was 14, and I've been here for 19 years now. So yeah, I did that. I ended up finding myself going through so many challenges, as we do throughout teens. Anxiety, depression, losing myself, mixing with the wrong crowds, putting myself on death's door many of times. I was like, great. Unhealthy relationships. And then, that all started to move around by the time I was 21, 22, because it got to a point where I had to break down in order to break through. And for me, that's where I made the decision where I want to create a life on my terms and refuse to settle for less than what I want. And from that, I started working for myself as a type of spiritual and mindfulness mentor, helping a lot of people who felt lost in themselves. They had to come back home to themselves. And I loved it, but I wanted to take it further. And I ended up actually going to study a psychology degree, which even today, I'm still thinking, oh, was that the right decision? Because psychology is one of those things where you can just buy a book online and learn it. But for me, I've reflected on my life back in the city, and now where I am, and I think, oh God, I've become countrified, as we say. It's like I've always grew up in nature because I used to go away in the city, to Wales and stuff. But I realised that I couldn't actually live in the city again. I really couldn't. Like now, I go back and like, oh God, no, it's too noisy for me. It's not me. But yeah, I went and did my degree and stuff, and yeah, I ended up going on to become a coach later on. So it's been a hell of a long journey.
Hmm. You said you had a breakdown
Mm,
in that story there, Marty.
mm.
What sort of breakdown and how old were you at the time?
Ooh, the first original breakdown, God, it must have been around 15, 16. That
Okay.
was around the time I started mixing with the wrong crowds. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to say wrong crowds because there was nothing wrong with them. We were all, trying to figure ourselves out in life,
Yeah.
and we were at that point where you just wanted to, live for the good times, not just for the long times. And
Um,
for us at that point, everything was nothing and nothing was everything. And we were just youths from the city who, hung around. But then we found some of the older people we hung around with were coming from more, let's say, vicious backgrounds to a point where things did get violent. And I had to be able to learn how to handle myself. Not because I
okay.
wanted to, but because it was either that or I end up in hospital.
Mm.
And I've done things I'm not proud of, but obviously self-defense is what it is. But that's what made me the way I am. But that breakdown was I had to look over my shoulder all the time. And it wasn't even anything I did. It was more the people I was around because I didn't trust them. So every time
Mm,
I saw something going on, my idea at the time was I'm getting the women home safe to make sure they're not getting hurt, but also I'm walking away from this because I want no part of this. This is not me. I couldn't stand the idea of it. But my anxiety went down so bad. My mental health had just hit me like a bolt of lightning. And I just thought something's got to change because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep waking up feeling like this.
mm. So you were 15, 16, and you had a mental breakdown and
Yeah.
you were suffering really bad with anxiety. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I think about it, I mean, I'm 33 now. It's like
Mm,
when you think of it now, because I see a lot of 15, 16-year-olds going to school and stuff, and I look at them and I think, you know what, I couldn't be a teenager today in today's world. So
mm,
how it was for me, it's like, wow, geez, I had a lot going on at that time, and I did. We tend to water down our own issues. We tend
mm,
to water down. I want to see them today, and it's like I see my nephew who's 11, and he goes through a lot of pressure, and I'm like, geez, I don't know how kids do it these days. So for me to water that down, it's like, oh, geez, what the hell? It's crazy.
mm. Do you think that was to do with your move from Liverpool to Wales? And was that part of it, or were you just drew into that to the wrong crowd, or was it a mixture of both?
To be honest with you, I think moving was the best thing
Mm,
because back in Liverpool, I say it was great life. Outside of school was a great life. Inside of school was hell, absolute
mm,
hell. I never fit in. I was never one of these people who could fit into the crowd. I just didn't follow the stigma within society of, oh, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, right? And it's like, no, I don't. I'll do what I want to do, right?
mm,
And I wasn't following the crowds with the styles and the trends, and I couldn't be asked with the fakeness.
mm,
My attitude has always been from a young age, what you see is what you get. If you don't like me, go. you know, and that's just it. But a lot of the kids back in the city, they were passive aggressive, some very aggressive. I used to get that at school a lot, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible.
mm,
Because you don't want to feel like that every day. You want to look forward to the day. And at 15, 16, you've got your whole life ahead of you. I was just like, yeah, I've had enough. So moving wasn't the issue.
mm,
Even the damn crowds, or the crowds I was in, wasn't the issue. It was when, the older ones started coming in, because we were 15, 16. Some of the others were like 18, 19. So, like, those ones who, were involved, one or two of them were a bit of an issue, but they would influence others to do the same. And I was
mm,
like, yeah, I want no part of this. So every time they came, I went because I knew I could read them a mile off. I thought, I know what you're like. So I didn't
mm.
want to know. So yeah, the people, or half of the people, were the issue.
Okay. How did you deal with this breakdown? I mean, what
Mm.
happened around that time? How did you know it was really bad?
Oh, woof. Oh, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be Tony Robbins and go, "Oh, I did this and I did that," because
Yeah.
I did hurt myself at times. I'm not going to
Mm,
lie, because I felt very unseen. I felt very unheard,
mm,
and it even got to a point where I considered just stepping off this planet, as they say,
mm,
because you've had enough. Um, but honestly, it got to a point where I just I started meditating more. I don't even know why. It just came to me. In fact, yeah, I do know. I remember sitting there because I've always been a person about watching rain. Always loved watching rain,
mm,
and I kind of sat there on the edge of my bed and I just watched the rain, and I would just look outside and breathe. And I started doing that more and more. And I thought, great, I actually love this, and I could do this as much as I can. But with the help of my family, because my family were absolutely amazing for everything.
mm,
Um, my mother more so, because she's a mental health practitioner in the community. So that really helped having that support. But honestly, the meditation helped, and just sitting there and having that time to myself rather than being around so much noise. And I
mm,
think that's the biggest thing that people overlook. Because for me, that's a godsend. Even now, I love being on my own sometimes because I just need that moment to myself to just think.
mm. Why did you start meditating then, Marty? You mentioned it a bit there. Was it something that you've seen online? Was it advice from someone? What made you give it a go?
Well, I've always been spiritually inclined with, how the universe works. But for me, I didn't even realize how or why. It just came to me. Like, again, I was sitting there watching the rain, and I closed my eyes for a minute and was just listening to it. And I realized, oh, this is actually good. And I
Yeah.
just relaxed, and I found myself relaxing. Now, we used to go to these like spiritual churches to help, people and stuff. I found the meditation there really helped me, and it helped with my emotions, my thoughts. Family did it as well, and they did it themselves. And even now, like I still meditate today, and it's a fantastic way. And for me, it was great to just escape everything that was going on.
Mm.
And yeah,
Mm.
it's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. I meditate every day and I absolutely love it. And I find if I ever skip it,
Yeah.
then I can really, really feel it, especially
Mm.
if I skip it for a few days. Over the
Yeah.
last few years, I've tried to do it every day. I've tried to be really disciplined and try to stay in my routine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really find that if I don't do it, if I don't have that
Mm.
time for myself, then my mind's busier. I'm
Yeah.
not as calm. I can't handle those stressful
Yes.
situations like I used to, definitely.
Mm. Yeah, this is it. I mean, and the thing is, like, there's so many different types of meditation, and people
Mm.
often, and it makes me laugh. Like, people often sit there and go, "Oh, you just close your eyes, feet on the ground, and hold your hands together." It's like, no, just don't. No, like if you're a Buddhist and you do that, great. But for me, no, I'll just sit there. I'll look out the window and I'll just close my eyes. But even then, there's a thing called walking meditation, and
Mm.
basically, you just go into a state of mindfulness, and you can walk down wherever you are and just take in every sound that's going on. Luckily for me, I'm surrounded by nature. I've got the forests, I've got the beach, I've got everything. So I'll just walk down the street and I'll hear the birds singing, the wind in the trees, the ocean. It's like, this is perfect. And everything else will get blocked out. By the end of that walk, I'm completely grounded. It's
Mm.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it is very grounding. I do a lot of running as well. I've mentioned on this podcast before that
Mm,
when I'm out for a long run, especially, and I get into the zone, it's a sort of
yes.
meditative state almost. And
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely love it. So you mentioned then about your breakdown, obviously, when you were younger. Did you have
Yeah.
another breakdown as well in the early, is it 2019? I think you said.
Yeah. So I went into the coaching in 2019.
Yeah.
Um, but just before I started doing the coaching, same year, I found myself so overwhelmed with everything.
Mm.
Struggling with work, struggling with some clarity on my life, just trying to figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing. And I didn't know what I was doing with myself. I was trying to figure out what am I even doing? Like, I don't want to just be in this autopilot mode, right? And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, I need to have some direction. And I actually found a video of Tony Robbins. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but I never knew who he was before this at
Yeah.
all. Or he came on a YouTube video, and I just thought, who's that guy with the weird voice? And I was really
Yeah.
like, wow, okay. So I heard him on this old video, and it must have been the 90s or something, or early thousands, because the footage was shocking. And he said something like, something along the lines of, people often overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 2 or 3 decades. So you've got time. And that hit me because I felt like I'm rushing my life to get myself into a position where it's like, just focus on what you can do right now rather than what you can't do. So I
Mm.
sat there and thinking about my own life and how much I love the mind and how I love helping people like myself who want to be able to build a life that feels like theirs, and do it on their terms. And I thought, you know what, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a way out to do this. So
Mm.
just through that on its own, I got help with my emotions, my mental health, with the support of family, of course. I did all that. I cut off every person I knew who wasn't supporting me, inspiring me, motivating me. Everything that was toxic, I got rid of completely. I
Mm.
started reading several self-help books and, even books that was around meditation, mindfulness. I actually picked up a book called mindfulness for the mindless. And I thought, oh, that's charming. That was like a slap for me. I was like, okay, which is a great book, by the way. So I did that. I was training 6 days a week for 3 hours a day. So I got in the best shape of my life. I gained about 20 pounds of muscle so fast. It was unbelievable. I was I was at my peak so fast within 6 months, and it was ridiculous. And it got to a point where even people said to me in the gym, "Are you on steroids?" I went, "No." They went, "Why is someone so lean, so muscular?" I said, "Because I did what I had to do in order to get myself in good shape, which was cut out all the crap." And I don't just mean junk food. I mean, like, all the crap within the food, like, we often think like takeaways and stuff, but for me, it wasn't that. It was like the overstimulation from coffee. It was soda drinks and stuff like that. Everything was just completely natural, and I just thought, yeah, great. So I started doing that, and that breakdown led to that breakthrough, because I realized for me to get to that breakthrough, I had to break down. I had to literally rip up myself and say, you know what, you need to change. You've got to stop treating yourself like you are your worst enemy. And that for me was that line in the sun where I thought, yeah, okay, something's got to change. Because it's not just a mindset thing; it's an identity thing. We often say, "Oh, you got a negative mindset," but for me, it wasn't. I was telling myself a story. I'm the victim of this, and I'm struggling with this, and I can't do that. It's just like I've got no evidence to suggest that I can't do this. And then I ended up spending, I only had £20 in my pocket at the time. I ended up spending the £20 on a course online to do, because it was on sale by chance. And I bought this course in like a coaching diploma, and I loved it. And from that, I just thought, great. So, and then I eventually got other work, and I bought another one and another one. And I worked my way through for, 3, 4 years. And then I went to TCO, did my accreditation with them. And along the way, I went and got my degree in psychology and counseling, because I was so passionate and determined to help people with their own mindset, their own well-being, their own resilience. And just, it's deeper than the resilience and mindset. It's more so saying that no matter what you go through, you will get up every time. And not only will you get up, but you will get up true to yourself, because that's what I stopped doing. I stopped being true to myself at one point, and I refused to do that again.
So were you people pleasing back then, do you think? Was that one of your big ones?
I should have got that tattooed on me. I should have got that tattooed on me. I was terrible for it, because again, as much as a gritty person I am, I always wanted to make sure everyone was okay. I always
Right.
wanted to make sure everyone felt good about themselves. And there was a point where I couldn't say no, because I didn't want to feel like I'm disappointing them. And even when I would help someone, I still felt like I was doing wrong. I was like, oh, I'm gonna pull more into them than what I've got. And it's like, yeah, this is not happening. And there's been so many times where I've helped people because they needed it, not because they wanted it. And I felt if I didn't, they'd be disappointed in me. But they couldn't care less, because they were self-destructing anyway. And it got to a point I was more focused on what they would think about me rather than what I thought about me. And I thought, nah, this isn't happening anymore. I'm coming back home to myself.
Mm. It's so hard though, isn't it? We're trying to be nice, we're trying to give back, but
Mm,
then we don't want to people please too much, because then we're not being authentic, we're not being aligned
yeah.
with who we truly are. So how do people balance that, Marty? Because that is so difficult.
It is, and this is the thing, and it's funny because people have asked me this so many times. How do we stop people pleasing? Honestly,
Mm.
what I would say, like I've said to clients before, time and time again, if you want to stop people pleasing, ask yourself how can you please you to the best that you can, to the
Mm.
best of your capability? Because when you people please, you are naturally fading away. You are disconnecting from yourself, and you're plugging yourself into someone else, which,
Mm.
when we look at it like that, it's like, oh, that sounds cruel, that sounds horrible, but it's true. You disconnected from yourself and you connected with someone else. And the moment you stop doing that and you come back home to yourself and you start putting yourself first, and you start filling up on your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, and your financial cups every day, you will find people will say to you, "Oh, you've changed. I don't like the person you've become." And it's like, no, you only like the person that was giving you what you wanted to meet
Mm,
your needs.
yeah.
But you don't like that I'm finally putting myself first. They
Mm,
don't like you. They like what they can make use of you, right?
yeah.
So you just have to fill those cups every day. So look at the kind of life you want to live, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It's about how happy you are, how fulfilled you are. And then say to yourself, what would that person do to fill up that physical cup, that emotional cup, that financial cup, that spiritual cup, whatever it may be. So for example, because for me, they are all non-negotiable. And if
Mm,
I'm not in the mood, I will wake up and go, well, I'm going to do 100, 200 push-ups anyway. Why? Because for me, working out is like having a wash every day. You know, it's not negotiable.
mm,
Same with meditation every day. Same with investing in yourself in some way, shape, or form every day. You do that no matter how you feel because you know you have to do it, not because you want to at that moment, but you know that your future self will be thankful for it. When you start doing that, you realize that you're actually pleasing you and you're giving yourself permission to please you and you're not pleasing other people. And it's
mm,
amazing when you do that consistently because you feel it emotionally, not just physically. And when someone comes to you and says, can you just do this, this, and this? It's like, I can't. I'm busy. I'm doing this, this, and this. Yeah, but I need your help. No, you don't. You want my help. You don't
mm,
need my help. If you
mm,
need my help, then pay me. Pay, if you really want me to do it, pay me.
mm.
Otherwise, fuck off. And that's my attitude. Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
if you really need it, if it's that much, pay me. Because at the end of the day, if it's not an emergency,
I think so many people are resentful, aren't they? Because they have this realization that they've been led down a garden path. They've
yeah,
been trying to appease so many different people, whether
yeah,
it's their parents, whether it's different family and friends,
yeah,
and they get down the road so far, so many years, so many decades, and then they wake up
yeah.
and like, oh my God, I don't even want this life. And then, yeah, it's like that's the midlife crisis panic button, isn't it? I think for so many people.
Yeah, and this is it. You know, people react; they don't respond, and it's kind
Mm,
of like you just have to stop and ask yourself, "Am I happy on the path that I'm on? And
mm,
if not, what can I do to change it?" That's it. Yeah, and when we often think, "Oh, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that," they don't have a plan to get there. But most times, people will say, "I want to escape from this. I want to get away from that. I don't want this anymore. I don't want that anymore." It's like, okay, so let's say, for example, you leave that. Where are you going to? And they go, well, and they stutter because they're focusing on what they're getting away from, but they're not looking at where they're going towards. And it's kind of like driving. If you're driving and you're looking behind you every time and you're not looking ahead of you, you're going to crash somewhere.
mm,
So it's kind of like enjoy where you're going rather than focusing on where you're coming from.
mm,
Look at going towards a destination and be excited about it. Because if it doesn't excite you, then think bigger.
mm,
Think big. It doesn't matter how crazy it is. Just think bigger. You know, it's got to be more exciting than where you've come from. And if it doesn't make you feel good, go somewhere else. It doesn't
mm,
have to be, you know, Hollywood. It doesn't have to be Vegas. It just has to be somewhere that you know makes you feel good about yourself. Makes you feel like you are at home every day.
mm. Resilience is central to your work.
Mm.
Obviously, it's in your title as well.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's been moments when you've had absolutely nothing left. What did that feel like at the time?
Ooh, honestly, when it's funny, isn't it? Because like when we work on certain areas, we're expected to master it, but I don't think we can ever fully master something,
Mm,
especially something like resilience. You know, I can get up after life hits me down 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. You know, I've got that physical resilience for no matter what life hits me with, literally. Um, but it gets to a point where you can be only be so strong for so long until you do snap. And
mm,
like, ooh. For me, when it gets to that point, I do feel depleted. But I kind of spend that moment not feeling sorry for myself. I don't believe in sitting there feeling sorry for myself. I will say, okay, I'm grieving for that feeling I want. I'm grieving for this idea of what home looks like for me. And I will sit there and I'll think about that and go, okay, I feel like crap right now, but I need to still believe that what I'm doing is for the reason. No, okay, I'll sit here for half an hour and I'll give myself permission to do that. It's not lazy. It's not weak. It's saying I'm giving myself permission to recharge. because I am human. I'm not a machine. And I'll openly sit there and I'll even, a lot of the time, I'll do a live stream on like TikTok or Instagram and say, hey guys, I'm not feeling good today. I'm feeling off. Because if I can't be honest with myself and others and say, I'm not having a good day and I'm always okay every day, people are going to go, well, how can we ever relate to you? Because you're expecting us to come to you and open up, but you're not opening up. So I've got to be honest with myself and say, yeah, you know what? I'm not 100% today. I'm maybe 50, 60. That's fine. But it's okay to not be okay. And you get to a point where you realize it was never about being strong all the time. It was about knowing how to deal with your emotions and your thoughts when you're not strong at that time. And if you are only feeling 50% today, show up fully yourself with 50%. I don't care whether you're the biggest asshole in the world or you're the kindest person in the world, show up 50% because I will respect you so much more rather than you saying, I feel great when I'm not. Because I've had it happen where I've said to people, hey, are you all right? And they go, yeah, I'm great. And I'll just look at them and go, are you all right? And they go, well. And they just open up and it's like, yeah, there we go. And they go, how'd you do that? I went, because I can read people like a book. I can tell you're not okay. It's in your eyes. Your whole body's screaming to be heard. And this is the thing. People can hide it away. They can say they're fine. But as you know, the body will show otherwise. Energy says otherwise. And for me, if I'm not okay, people won't be able to notice unless they are very, very well trained in that area. But I'll just sit there and I'll go quiet. And that's the thing with me. When I'm quiet, that's when you've got to think, oh, why is he quiet? What's going on? Why is
Yeah.
Marty quiet? Because he's one hard, gritty son of a. He's always got an opinion. Yeah, honestly, I've got a tough exterior, and people often think, "Oh, yeah, don't cross him" and all this. But it's just like if I'm sitting there quiet, I'm like, he's either planning something or something's going on. And I'll sit there and just go, "Yeah, I'm not having it today. I'm not feeling it, not at all." And for me, when I'm feeling like that, it's like, oh yeah, I need to just sit there with my thoughts. I need to journal. And that for me, the journaling has been a godsend along the way when I feel depleted. Because I can't even write with journaling. And that's the thing, like I've tried writing down in a journal. I find it hard to do. I feel like sometimes you're forcing it out. But for me, a lot of the time, I've got an app on my phone called Untold. It's fantastic for people who want to journal. And you basically record on and it saves all your stuff. And I'll just talk on that every other day. I'm like, this is what's happened this week, blah, 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 blah. And it's amazing. But also through AI, and I can't stand AI, but there's an AI system where it gives you like a psychological report of what you have basically said and it reframes everything. It's like, oh, geez, I didn't think of it like that. And for me, that journaling has been amazing. So that's how I deal with my own resilience.
Mm. Yeah, journaling is definitely a big one. It's something, to be honest, that I haven't done loads of, but I
Mm,
always find it. I've really got into my meditation in such a good
mm,
routine, but I need to build
yeah,
that journaling into my routine. I do it every so often. I always do it at least once a week, but I need to start making it a daily habit, whether that's in the morning
yeah,
with my meditations or whether that's on an evening. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. My wife always says the same. I can relate a lot to what you were just saying. Whenever I'm quiet, she knows there's
yeah,
something up because I'm
yeah,
um quite a positive, bubbly, happy person. And when I'm quiet, straight away she'll sense it
yeah,
and just say, right, something's up. You're quiet, wrong. But yeah, you get a feel of people's energy, don't you? You know,
yeah.
sometimes when people walk in the room, just their body language, you know that they're off, obviously.
Yeah, and this is it. Like my ex, she was a counselor at the time, now psychologist, and that was freaking difficult because she could read me like, and it's very hard for people to read me, but because of the way she works, she
Mm.
could. I was like, fuck, oh, no way. And then when I say something, she goes, well, did you know? And I go, here we go. So it got to a point with her, it was like, yeah, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm great. Yeah, no, you're not. I said, okay, come on, tell me what I've done now. So yeah, it is good. I mean, to be fair though, working out has been my religion, to be honest with you. Like, I'm obsessed with working out, but not for the same reason that, like, I don't want to say same reason because that's very superficial, but like a lot of people work out because they want to look good on social media and all sort of stuff like that. For me, it was never the case. It didn't even occur to me. That's a bonus. For me, I was training for survival. And I've always told myself that. And I started training when I was, what, 14, 15.
Mm,
Again, because how, how things were. And for me, training for survival was it was non-negotiable. Now, what I mean by that is I've always told myself that because because I can read people like a book, I could see how the world was starting to go mad with issues that's got going on. And I said one day we're gonna have issues where, you know, you're gonna have to just get up and take a stand in life. Not for major, but even the little things, you've got to take up and take a stand because life is gonna hit you in ways that you never thought. And we've gone through that as men as well. We go through that. Life hits us in ways we never thought.
mm,
And my goal was that I'm training, so if something ever happened, I can get up and I can climb, I can jump, I can run, I can walk, I'll do whatever it takes to get to the top of that mountain. And
mm,
I've got the energy to get back down because getting there is not, for me, is not enough. It's getting there and saying, I've got the energy to come home.
mm,
And for me, honestly, that's more important, that I know how to survive. Because people will work hard in life and burn themselves out along the way. And they finally get to this job, this idea, this success, let's say, whatever that looks like to them. But if they lose it, they go, oh, it took me years to do that. Now I've got to start from scratch. Whereas me, physically, mentally, take it all away. I know how to build it from scratch because
mm,
I've trained myself mentally and physically how to do that.
mm. I think physical exercise does so much for your mental strength as well, doesn't it? I've done a lot of marathons, I've done a lot of long distance runs,
Mm,
and different events like that, and it's been so good for my mental strength as well.
mm,
Obviously, it builds discipline in the training as
yeah,
well. So when people try and divide physical and mental
yeah.
exercise or whatever, I always say it's always a combination of the two. So important.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned about the marathon because I was actually thinking about that about a month or two ago. I was thinking I want to do a marathon. I'm thinking of doing a marathon, so I'm actually going to look at that. But a friend of mine, he's a big son of a bee. Honestly, he was like, "Oh, you know what? You should do the Tough Mudder." I went, "Listen, forget it. Forget it. That's one thing I'm not going to do." But yeah, I agree. Like the amount of men and women I've spoke to in the gym when I've been there, like I find that, and I don't mean this to come across the wrong way, but I find that a lot of the smaller men and young boys are like they're very aggressive,
Mm,
whereas the bigger men who are huge and very well disciplined, they're the most grounded and humble people you'll meet. And when you actually speak to them, you realize they were never there because they want to get big or they want to look after themselves and fight. And all. They're not trying to be intimidating. You speak to them, go, I lost my job, I went through a divorce, I lost my kids, I did this. They went through adversity. And
yeah.
it's like, yes, I love that. And I
Mm,
remember one day in particular, I was in the gym and this guy came in and he had those specialized when you lose your leg, it's like a bow. And
mm,
he ran on the treadmill. And I've never seen this guy before. He ran so fast. I was like, geez, what the freaking hell? And I said to him, excuse me, can I just speak to you? And I said, what you've just done is amazing. And he
mm,
told me he lost his legs in Afghanistan. A grenade went off. I said, how'd you do this? I said, how'd you get through this? And he just said, because life is a gift. He said, I'm not going to stop just because I lost my legs. And I thought, that is amazing.
mm,
If this man can lose his legs in war and he's running on a treadmill at what, 7 o'clock in the morning, what excuse do we have to not get up and work out? Like
yeah.
what? I looked at the weights and thought, right, you know what? I need to step up because this is just like wow. But
Yeah.
that was a reminder for me because it's not your body that gets you to the gym; it's your mind that gets you to the gym,
Mm,
and it's not the thoughts; it's the emotions. It's the discipline saying, well, I'm not in the mood, or it's raining, or whatever it may be, I'm going because I need to go for me. Just for that, it's like, as you know, like a marathon, you need a lot of mental discipline for that. Oh, God help me if I ever do it. For me, like, it takes everything just to get up and go. But again, because it's survival, it's like, yeah, it's not negotiable.
Yeah, it's such a good point, and the mental strength you will need to finish a marathon as well, especially
Yeah,
running all the way. They say, don't they? That, you get to 20 miles and you hit the wall, and oh God, you're so depleted, and
yeah,
yeah, and you just want to sort of crawl
yeah.
into a little hole. You really do. It is so tough, and I think I had to do about 4 or 5 marathons before I could run the complete distance. I always used to
Yeah.
hit the wall like halfway through or a mile 20. But
Oh,
yeah, it's an amazing test
yeah.
of your mental and your physical ability. You've mentioned a few times, Marty, about choosing yourself and what it actually cost you. So, what did it cost you in terms of relationship, identity,
Ooh.
security?
Honestly, it cost me everything. I was
Mm,
living or performing as a version of me that I felt I had to be in order to sustain a life that I didn't even want. And I was surrounded by 6, 7, 8, and some were nine-figure earners.
mm,
Coaches, entrepreneurs, speakers, CEOs, you name it. And people who were starting off. And I looked at them and I just thought, this is not me. I couldn't stand it. Like, normally, from an outside perspective, that sounds like everyone's dream. Oh, wow, great. It was never for me. For me, it felt very alien, if you will. I
mm,
was never about money. I was never about big success like that. Like, don't get me wrong, that sounds great, but it never appealed to me. I was more for the capable. Now, what I
mm,
mean by that is you see mechanics, you see nurses, you see plumbers, electricians, the people who, in an emergency, they are there to help you when you need them most.
mm,
And I see them and I think, you don't get enough credit for what you do every day. The people who work so hard and don't get credit, I see them every day and I just think, for me, that's everything, you know? So honestly, it's a difficult one, to be honest with you. It really is. Because when I came back home to myself, I stopped being like the people I had to be around in order for me to accept me. So for example, there was a big event and I'm surrounded by a lot of these people. And I stood there, and then everyone's having the time of their life. And I stood there with a glass of whiskey thinking, I'd rather be at home with a freaking cup of tea by the fire. Like, this is not me at all. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather be walking through the woods with a dog, with my dog. And yeah, why not? Like, I was in the city as well, which made it worse. I thought, like, this is me. Yeah, put me on a motorcycle somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I'll just go for a cruise. That's fine by me because that's all I've always wanted to do. And honestly, I couldn't do it. So when I came back from that, I sat myself down and I had a very stern conversation with myself and said, okay, who am I at the core? Not status, not job, not anything, not relationship. Who am I? Who and what do I want to be? I really got back down to I love helping people come back home to themselves in the sense that they are building a life that they can wake up feeling excited for. You know, they wake up and go, yes, I'm doing this today. Yes, I'm doing that. And I'm doing this because I want to do it, not because I fell into it.
mm.
Felt I couldn't be me. Does that make sense? Like, what, you know, when you say you're the reflection of the people you sit with at the table. So
Mm,
if you're around multimillionaires, you are going to learn from them. And I thought, okay, I'm going to learn how to make money. Great. But what if that's not important to me? What if just being happy is important? What if just being there is important? Right. And I find that a lot of these people lack presence.
mm,
It's the difference. They have money, but they lack presence. And one thing I lacked was presence because I was focusing on, I want to do this and I want to do that, but not what am I doing now? Who do I want to be now? And as you said, with meditation every day, you come back to yourself and that, because you don't have the influence of anything going on. It's just you with your own thoughts, you of your own identity. And I've sat there, I sat there and thought, wow, I'm an arsehole sometimes. I'm like, wow, I am a tough son of a bitch. Fuck. And honestly, when I took myself away from all of that and I put myself, because I remember going for a walk and it was pouring now, and I'm surrounded by forests and fields. I thought, yep, this is me. Great.
Mm.
This is where I'm going to test my own mentality here, because I'm not influenced by, filters or social media or this or that, or, how to scale to 20, 30K more. I was just me and the sound of the rain and everything else around me, and thought, great. And the one thing that kept coming back was just show up as yourself. Just show up as you. Because if you do succeed by chance, but you are a version of someone else, then you haven't succeeded at all. You've just literally become a reflection of someone else. And one day you're gonna wake up and look in the mirror, and you're not gonna reflect. You're gonna look at the reflection and you're not gonna reflect and think, oh great, that's me. You're gonna think, who the is that? And I actually got to a day where I looked in the mirror and I punched the mirror so hard and it just smashed. And I thought, no, not anymore. Not doing it. So I came back home to myself. I rebuilt myself from the ground up. I didn't start from scratch in the sense that I built a new me. It was, I went back to the me that needed to be seen and heard from the beginning. And I gave him that confidence and reassurance that he was always enough. He was always enough to show up. And the people who had said to me, especially in the industry that I was in, because a lot of them had said, who you are is not enough for who you want to be, and you need to improve yourself as a person and all this. And these didn't even know me; they were judging me based on their own ego and their own perception. So I went back to myself and I'm like, "You are enough. You always were. Okay, you haven't got that, overly hyper, happy, ambitious vibe that you see on social media for coaches, but that's not me. I'd rather be that person who is going to sit there and tell you straight, but with compassion. Like if I don't like you, I'll say, listen, I don't like the vibe you give. Just cut the BS, right? And it is gritty. It is straight to the point, but it's the truth that gets us forward, not false hope. And I'm not going to tell someone and go, oh yeah, you know what? If you just do this and you do that, things will get better. I'll go, listen, you fucking go. You fucking go, and you're acting like a real asshole in your life because you're not being true to yourself. And everyone's an asshole in life. I'm going to be honest, we are. But if you are your own kind of asshole, it doesn't really matter. If you're going to be one, right, be one that you like, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Like, how many times have we worked for someone and go, I can't believe I'm working for you, because if we weren't at work, I wouldn't walk on the same side of the road as you, And this is the thing. For me, I had to be able to like myself first, because if I didn't, what's the point? Because at the end of the day, you come home and you sit on the couch and you sat with your own thoughts, your own emotions. Even your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever, right? They are not going to be able to read your mind. So you are literally stuck in your own head. So you might as well get comfortable there. You might as well like what's in there, because if you don't, it's for nothing.
It's so true. We spend the most time with ourselves, don't we? So yeah, we better like ourselves, right?
Exactly. And this is why I now say in my work, surviving is not enough. You've got to thrive. Because if you are not living, then you're just existing. You're just existing. And that's hell right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I say it a lot in my content. I say that every day we're getting closer to death. Now that sounds really morbid and really depressing, but it's true. And people are sitting there and they're just letting their lives literally go by, go past, and they think they've got all this time. And I've always said a lot of people, they they know they're gonna die, but they don't believe it, if that makes sense. Because we all know that that it is gonna end, but we don't want to face it, do we? We fear it so much. So yeah, and we get stuck in these cycles, and life just goes by, and then we wake up I'm realistic one day, and then that's the midlife crisis.
Yeah, I think this is a thing. I went to see my grandfather's grave early this year, and one thing that really hit me was because it's a very, very old cemetery, and this grave's there from like the early 1800s, and it's like, whoa. And one thing that came to mind, like I don't know if you do this, but like I've got a habit of walking around graveyards and looking at the ages of people and how they died and stuff. Because it's amazing for me, because a lot of them will say like gone too soon or loved by a husband, wife, whatever, right? And I love that. But one thing that really occurred to me as I stopped, I'll never forget this, and I looked around and I said to my nephew who was with me at the time, I said, "Hey, little man, tell me which one of these people were rich." And he goes, "What?" I'm like, "Tell me which one had a big house." And he goes, "I don't know." I'm like, "Well, tell me which one made a lot of money, had a great job." Because "I don't know." I said, "Exactly." I said, "Because at the end of the day, they're all in the same place." I said, "So just you remember that, because you can't tell by looking at these who was rich, who had the best outfit, who was the best looking, this, and this." I said, "They're all wanting the same thing, to just live the life, to matter, to have a legacy of some sort." And people today, even in 2026, with all the things that we've got going on, they still lack that knowledge, that awareness of, we know we're going to die one day, but do they know how to live? That's the difference. They're alive, but they're not living.
They're chasing the wrong things. It's so
Exactly.
true. Your whole message, Marty, is around being yourself, and
Yeah.
that's been a real game changer for you. But for a lot of people, especially men,
Mm.
that feels terrifying.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for men? Obviously, I coach men myself as well.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's so hard for men? Is it that ego?
I think it's ego. There's two types of ego. There's this healthy ego, which we all have, and then there's
Mm,
this unhealthy ego where we get in our own heads and like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm better than this." And it becomes a level of arrogance in between.
mm,
With men who struggle to be true to themselves, it's a stigma in society where they feel they have to be this type of masculine.
mm,
They have to act a certain way and talk a certain way and so on and so on. And for me, it was never the case. Like, I've always been that old fashioned man. You know, I'm a leader, I'm a protector, I'm a provider, no matter what. And I never back down ever. But I also know when to walk away,
mm,
because I built myself that way. Men today, though, and I see it all the time, and I'm sure you do as well, working with men specifically, is that they see all the things on social media and the news and movies as well, specifically, and even music, to the point where they think, "Oh, I want to act like that. I want to be what they call a high value man," and all this. It's like, well, what does that mean to you? Because they built this pressure on them that never existed in the first place. And my attitude is, you don't have to earn a certain amount of money. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You just have to be able to be you. You know, if you want to go and work as, I don't know, a security guard, go and be a security guard, right? But do it, like, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because they're influencing you to do it on a YouTube video saying you can do it and all that. Do it because you genuinely want to do it. You know, and if you are feeling lost in yourself, right, it's okay to say, "You know what? I'm not okay today." Like, you're not weak. You're never gonna be weak. The only time you fail is when you stop living. And I mean, really stop living for that moment, right? And you give up on everything you are. But even then, you're not lost. You've just forgot who you are. That's the difference. You were never lost. You never disappeared. You just stopped believing in the person who believed in you. Because where you are today as a man, right? Your childhood self is probably sitting there going, "Wow, you know what? I can't wait to be that person. Look how big they are. Look how strong they are. Wow, look at what they've done." So honestly, men, we are hard on ourselves, and we know that. But society has made us believe that as men, we have to be a certain way. We have to be strong physically, mentally. And it's kind of like, we are not back in the 1950s anymore. You know, we're not walking around in these three-piece suits with a slick hair like Frank Sinatra, right? You know, we're not sitting there going, "Right, I'm going to, you know, do this and do that because that's what makes me a man." No, not at all. Just do what makes you happy. Seriously, that's just it. Honest, for me, if you want to be, your most authentic self, eat healthy. And the reason I say that is because healthier food, organic food, will help you have organic thoughts, right? Healthy habits, pull away from anything that's stopping you from growing and being a better person. That could be any sort of addiction. It could be alcohol. It could be caffeine. It could be self-injury. It could be pornography, whatever it may be, right? If it's not helping you grow mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, you don't need it. You don't need it, right? But also taking time out for yourself, whatever that looks like for you as a man. Maybe you want to go to the gym. Maybe you don't like going to the gym. Maybe you want to play a guitar. Maybe you want to, I don't know, play video games. Whatever makes you feel happy about yourself. Because at the minute, if you aren't happy and you're doing everything else, you're going to collapse eventually. Your happiness is the foundation first, not the goal, the foundation. You should always be happy before you do anything else. Because if you base your success and your growth on your happiness, right? Fine. But if you base your happiness on success, meaning I'm not going to be happy until I make this amount of money, you're never going to be happy, because you could lose that one day and then you go, oh, I'm sad again. I've lost again. Choose to be happy every day, even if you don't feel it. And know that if someone says, real men do this, just say, oh, fuck you. Seriously. Like, honestly, like, I'm not going to mention names for legal reasons, right? But we see people on the television, and if you're going to say that's a real man, it's like, yeah, okay, great. I wouldn't trust them with anything, let alone what they're doing now. So yeah, I mean, I could name quite a few people who are in charge of places, but I wouldn't call them the type of man I want to be. I mean, you're talking to a guy who walks around in a freaking biker leather jacket, big boots, and freaking hair slicked all the time. Seriously, and I listen to country music every day. It's like, yeah, that's me. That one you call a man, great. You want to talk about a guy who's in a three-piece suit who wears what looks like a wig and blames every country but his own and himself? Fine. We all know, kind of give it away there, but yeah, the fact is, who you are as a man is down to who you decide to be. Okay, it's not who your father was. It's not who your grandfather was. It's not who your children may be. It's who you decide to be. You're not your past. You're not your mistakes. You're not your future, right? Because your future self is depending on who you want to be today. So just be who you want to be and ask yourself, will my future self be proud of me? But they sit with me and go, you know what? I thank you so much for what you did, because we needed that. Who does that? Fuck what everyone else thinks. I couldn't care less what anyone else thinks. I spent many years caring what people think. Now, my attitude is, if you're not doing better than me and you're not happier than me, then they really don't care.
I think, especially for men, as we get older, we don't tend to care as much as we used to, especially in our 20s. I mean, I'm in my 40s now and I really don't care. I don't know whether that's all the personal development work that I've done, or whether that's an age thing, or whether it's because I've got kids now. But yeah, I think when you do let go of that wanting, like, caring about what people think and people pleasing, that's a really, really big step forward. And yeah, getting that really, really clear vision of who you want to be and just moving slowly but surely towards it.
Yeah, and this is it. I mean, let's be honest, like, this, I guess you could say, this is code within men that we don't say. And it's like that unwritten code where we did once care. We did once wear our hearts on our sleeves. And there's a lot of women out there, respectfully, who will say, "Oh, men are players. Men are, the cold. They're not connected to their emotions, and all this." And luckily, I've never had that said about me. It was like, great, because, I've had to build myself. But like, I was a point where I did care. And he'll say, "Oh, yeah, men don't care anymore." It's like, yeah, because we used to. And it's like, you gave us a reason not to. A lot of the time, like, there was a point, because let me just state this for the ladies who are listening as well. Like, we can't tar everyone with the same brush, okay? And you can't tar men with the same brush. So if you've had a bad experience with a man or a woman, just say that was an individual, write it off, look forward. But what I want to say is that men don't care now, when, like, say, in the 30s, 40s, and so on, because there was a point in the 20s where they did care. They cared so much. They put the heart on the sleeve. They go out and buy flowers for one person. They support a group of friends. They give everything. They focus on everything that's going on. They cared about that one person, right? And then they got hurt. They got lied to. They got cheated on. They got used. Those friends that they were friends with, they stabbed them in the back. Everything that we had as men was ripped away from us because we cared. So what did we do? We stopped caring. We said, enough is enough. I'm not going to be hurt again. I'm not going to be that person I was when I was, 20, 21, 22, because I will not allow myself to go through the same pain I did when I cared so much. So you wake up one day, not bitter, but more disciplined emotionally. And you go, if people don't like me, that's their problem. It's not mine. Because as you get older, you realize that the time in front of you is getting shorter and the time ahead of you is getting longer. And it's going to get to a point where you're at the front of that line and you can say, do I have any regrets? No, not at all. Because that line, you could be at the front tomorrow if you wanted. So if you're going to do anything right, be true to yourself, no matter what people think. Just do that for you.
What do you think the biggest lie people tell themselves about why they can't show up as who they really are then, Marty?
The biggest lie, the biggest lie why people don't show up is because they feel that they're not ready. I'm not ready to do this because I need to do this. I need to get this qualification. I need to earn this amount of money. I need to work on this. I need to, for example, someone could go to the beach or the gym. I'm not putting that top on because it doesn't look good on me, so I'm not going to go. It's like, whether you're ready or not, you show up anyway. Because today you may feel ready, tomorrow you may not. And for me, my mindset has always been, if you're not in the mood to show up, you show up anyway, because I will put headphones in and I will listen to music that will get me ready, and this is the thing. People will say to you, whether that be work, fitness, business, relationships, whatever it may be, they'll say, I'm not good enough at this moment. And that they genuinely believe that. That's the story they've told themselves. And because they are telling themselves, I'm not good enough, they're not going to show up. Now, people are going to probably think, oh, that's not a lie, though, that's a belief. No, it is a lie, because if this was in court, there's no proof to suggest that they're not good enough. If you were to put evidence on a table to say, why are you not good enough? Let's see why. They would go, I don't know. I don't think I am. Yeah, but an opinion is not evident. So you're lying to yourself because you don't want to get uncomfortable. That's the thing. So yeah, people lie to themselves every day. But I'd rather someone show up not ready than someone showing up thinking that they are ready and then make a freaking screw up of things. Seriously. Because at least then, the person who isn't ready is willing to learn. The person who thinks they are ready, well, that's just complete freaking narrow-minded. That's just how we've got some leaders that we do today.
It's that victim mindset, isn't it? That over the growth mindset, it always comes back to that. And the stories we tell ourselves really do shape our life. How does somebody, in your opinion then, Marty, how do they flip it? How do they start telling themselves a different story?
Honestly, what I started doing was I created this thing, and I'm going to throw this golden nugget out there. We often hear about healing the inner child, right? You sit there and you visualize, talk to your childhood self. What I did was I created this timeline exercise where you have a visualization where you sit at a table with your childhood self on one side, but then you've got your future self on your other side. So there's three of you. And what I get them to do is I get them to talk to their childhood self. You're safe, you're this, you reassure them, right? But then you ask your future self about, did I do things right? Are you happy? Look at how they act, how they look, and so on. Obviously, we don't know. It's their mind. It's their subconscious beliefs based on what they think their future's going to be like. If they don't like it, their future self will tell them that, because their mind is saying, no, you should have done this and you should have done that. So honestly, they just have to be true to themselves. The greatest strength in the world is not giving up on yourself, even if the rest of the world does. Simple as that. If the world, your friends, your wife, your husband, whatever it may be, gives up on you and tells you you're no good, you just keep telling yourself, I still believe in me, because at the end of the day, there's no one else who can. There's no one in the world that's going to save you. So save yourself. And the thing is, this fight that we have in life, it's not about surviving. It's about having something worth surviving for, and you have to survive for you, not your family or anything else. You've got to survive for you first. Because if you can't look after you, then you can't provide for them.
Mm. Yeah, it's such a good point. What does you talk a lot about confidence and performance, Marty,
Yeah.
but what comes first? Does confidence create performance? Do you think? Do you need confidence first, or does showing up create confidence, or are they just intertwined and different people do them differently?
I've never believed confidence comes first in anything. Confidence is so subjective. It's so situational. You can be confident doing a live stream on TikTok and you get like 100 people in, but then you get that person to sit on a stage, right, and talk in front of those same 100 people, they will freeze so fast because I don't know. They're right in front of me. It's like, yeah, but they were right in front of you at home on the phone. Yeah, well, I can see them that time.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, but you were confident doing that. You're not confident now. So the situation is so different. Like, you could be confident in a nightclub. I can't stand nightclubs, but you could be confident in a nightclub, but not be confident doing a public speech.
Yeah.
So honestly, action is what creates the confidence, even if you are not ready. Like for me, when I first started coaching, I was terrified. I was like, oh yeah, great. I'm great as a mentor because mentoring is very intimate. You're saying, I think you need to do this and you need to do that. Whereas coaching is like asking the right questions to help them rediscover. I was like, oh, I'm not used to that. Like, wow, that's weird. But for me, I did it because I know I wanted to do it. And the thing is that action before the confidence, that action has to be decisive action, not impulsive action. So I'm doing it because I genuinely want to do it. I've decided to do that. And every decision is it's confidence decision, right? However, a decision with confidence is different to an action with confidence. Because you're saying, I know I want to do it because it's a value of mine. It's what's important to me. But actually doing it is a completely different thing. So, for example, with yourself, you say about a marathon, it's kind of like, I'm going to run a marathon because I want to do it. That's my action. I'm deciding to do that. But then you've got the confidence to actually do it. Whether you do the full thing or, 20 miles or however long, I honestly haven't a clue. The fact is you've had to do that to build the confidence to go on and do it again and again and again. And then this is the thing. If you can't be confident within yourself at the end, right, then you know that you're doing the right thing because confidence doesn't come in a day. Like, if you're going to the gym for the first time, right, you're not going to be confident after the first day. Like, you're going to feel like a bit, oh, yeah, that was great. But you got to take time over and over. Your action will create the confidence no matter what. They say, what's that saying? Practice makes perfect. Little bullshit. Because there's no perfect. But practice gives you that point where you can reach a level where you can be as perfect as you want to be in your own perception, to the point you say, you know what, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to keep doing this because I'm confident I can do it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. You just got to practice makes perfect. I do always say that, but that's a really good point. Again, it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Perfection, but you understand what they're saying. You've got to put the reps in, whether that's in the gym or whether that's in your
Yeah.
head, to build that confidence, to build that mental muscle.
Yeah.
But that is a really, really good point. In your experience working with people, then, what would you say is the real thing holding them back? Because it's usually not what they think, is it? It can be many different things, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that, Marty?
Well, funny enough, when people come to me, again, it's a confidence thing. Like, very rare that people come to me don't suffer with confidence because I don't specialize in confidence specifically. It's just part of the process. And I could never specialize in confidence. Not that I can't do it, just honestly, it's not deep enough for me. But a lot of people come to me, I'm not confident in this, I'm not confident in that. When it comes down to the core, what 95% of them have is imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Now, for those who aren't aware of that, it's basically they feel like they're going to get caught out. Like they feel like they haven't actually achieved what they've achieved. And it's like, oh no, well, I can't do this because I'm going to fail and all this. And it's kind of like, hang on a minute. Again, you've got this. You're just telling yourself you can't do it. And it's this imposter syndrome where they've built this identity where they're living as a person who has already failed before they've even tried. And it's like, you need to change that if you want your life to change. Like, resilience doesn't just come because you believe in yourself. Like, it comes because you've gone out into the world, you've done the hard stuff, you've let life knock you down, but you've decided to get back up. And not just decided, you have actually got up because you have something, again, worth surviving for. So in order for that, they have to really, again, because confidence doesn't come before the action, it's more so like they have to acknowledge their inner truth. And the inner truth is not, oh, well, I want to do this because it's a want. The inner truth is, I don't believe in me. I don't believe in me because I've been telling myself this for however long. And most people have this imposter syndrome from 10, 20, 30 years before. And they've carried it for that long. It becomes what I call a default state. And it's so default now, it's like they couldn't tell you otherwise. It's like when people, have learned a language a certain way, and you go, well, what if I told you you could learn in another language? Of course they're going to get defensive because that's their default language. And this person's default language is, I'm not good enough. And it doesn't matter what you say, they're not going to believe you. But if you give them a glimpse of what it could be like if they did believe in themselves, that's what gets them hooked.
Self-doubt. So many of us are riddled with it, aren't we?
They are. But even then, self-doubt is just the surface. It's why they feel they are down in themselves. Is it because someone said something to them? Is it because they had a job and it didn't go well? Is it because they had a bad experience in, a relationship? Whatever it may be. But that imposter syndrome comes into that, which the self-doubt then hooks onto. And then with that, they burn out on top of that. It's like, geez, all that because you stopped believing in yourself because of something that happened. And I often say, you've got 24 hours in your day, right? 365 days a year. And you are letting 5 minutes destroy the other 23 hours and 55 minutes. When you look at that, 23 hours and 55 minutes versus 5 minutes, it's like, why is the 5 minutes going to outweigh the 23 hours and 55 minutes? It doesn't make sense. So say, oh, you know what? Those 5 minutes annoyed the hell out of me, but I could do those 5 minutes over and over and over and over again for the other 23 hours and 55 minutes, and I can make it worth it. So if someone says, you're an idiot, you're going to fail, I was like, hey, really? Prove it. Prove it. I want to see that I'm going to fail because I don't know how to fail. I just know how to believe in myself. I know how to keep going. I know how to survive. I'm a master survivor. That's what I do. I will always get back up no matter what life throws at me. And that's what you tell yourself over and over. Life will always throw, obstacles in your way. Bad relationships, friendships, work, whatever it may be. But you've got to tell yourself, this is not happening to me. It's happening for me. I know that's very cliche, right? But it literally is the case because if you are thinking negative, you're going to attract that negativity. It's law of attraction. Whereas if you say, I actually believe that things are going to get better. I hope for that, not because I'm begging, but I've got something to look forward to. That's where things start to change for you.
Goes back to energy, doesn't it? What
Exactly.
we give out. And some people will call it karma, other people won't. But again, it goes back to perspective
Yeah. Yeah.
and and what you believe karma is. But I really do truly believe in the law of attraction. I believe in karma. I
Yeah.
believe smiling at people, you get a smile
Yeah.
back. That's the
Yeah.
truest form of karma. But people that say to me, "Oh, I don't believe in karma, Luke. It's all a load of crap." And I'll say,
Yeah.
seriously, if you be nice to people, of course you're going to get the odd bad person, the
Yeah.
odd person that's not going to smile back, not going to give you a hand or whatever. But 90% of people out there, you're going to get it back, and that
Yeah.
is the same in so many different parts of your life.
Exactly. And it annoys me when people use this idea of karma as an entity. People go, oh, karma's going to get you. It's like, since when did karma have arms and legs? Like, it's not going to harm you. It literally is like the law of attraction. It's a balance. So if they've brought some sort of, a fragment of negativity into the life, that negativity will come back. That's not a bloody entity. This is not a Hollywood movie, guys. Like, come on. But yeah, you're right. You're spot on.
We've spoke a lot about resilience. What does resilience actually mean to you? Because I think it gets thrown around so much, especially in the self-development space that we're both in. Um, and a lot of people think it means just grinding it through. But,
No,
well, I mean,
no.
what do you think the truth is, Marty?
Honestly, I've met so many people who use the word resilience in this work, and so have yourself, and we hear it, don't we, every day? And it's like, oh, you've got to be resilient. And I was actually at this debate with a lecturer in a university, and she said to me, I don't like resilience. It's negative. It means, what did she say? She said something like, it means holding all your pain together and just keep going. I prefer robust. I went, no, I get where you're coming from. I said, but it's not about just grinding through. I said, it's knowing that it's a mixture between being robust and being resilient, in the sense that life will hit you with grief, with relationships, with loss, with things that go on in the world out of our control, and even internal wars that we have with ourselves, because those are the battles that we struggle with most. With that being said, you are allowing yourself to get up every day, despite the altercations that you may have, addressed in your life, despite everything that has gone on, despite the adversities, you're deciding to wake up. You're deciding to go to work. You're deciding to work on your business, whatever you're doing, and you are getting up because you decide to do that. You've not given up on yourself. For me, resilience personally has been my ability to get up despite everything I've gone through. Because again, I've been on death's door more times than people have freaking had meals. And it's just like, great, okay. But I do it with joy in my heart, even though I don't freaking express it. I don't wear my heart on my sleeve at all, guys. But I do it because my attitude is, if I can't save me, who else will? So I am going to get up because, like I said before, I've got something to survive for. But in order to do that, I have to get up and be resilient. So if someone throws suffering in my life, whether they be verbally, physically, whatever it may be, I will get up and go, here's what it is, give it your best shot. Give it your best shot, because I've had worse. But for me, resilience is not something you become. It's not something you decide through experience.
Mm. Yeah, it's a really, really good way of looking at it. If someone's listening right now, then Marty, and they're performing a version of themselves every single day and they're exhausted by it, like you were, like we were speaking about back at the start of the
Yeah.
conversation, what is the first honest thing you think they should do?
Honestly, I'd say stop listening to everyone else and start listening to yourself. Really just listen to your inner gut. If it's telling you, pull away from that person. If it's telling you something's not right here, trust your instinct, because that's what got me where I am today. Like, most of my clients are from Canada and America because they resonate with my work more. And I think, in fact, 95%, no, 98% of my clients have come from America and Canada. I think 1% has come from Europe and 1% has come from the UK. It's like, wow. And honestly, I will always say, be true to you. And the only way to do that is listen to you first. Don't go seeking someone's opinion. Ask yourself, do I like it? Do I feel okay with this? Because if you don't, then nothing else matters. If the end of the world came, right, and there was no one else around, it was just you, whose opinion would you go for? Your own, right? So why not do that now? That's it. It's you against the world.
Hmm. If you could go back and speak to the younger version of yourself, then Marty,
Yeah.
what would you say?
What would I say? Oh, that's a good one. It's funny because I asked that most of the time.
I
What
ask
would I
every-
say?
These are the last two questions that I ask every guest, so this is the first one.
I think, honestly, that one for me, it would be, you are always good enough. You're okay, and you're going to be fine. Just keep being you. That's it.
Just keep on going and keep your head high.
Exactly. Yeah.
And finally, what does the next chapter look like for you, and where can people find you?
Well, I'm creating a new thing, a new project where people will be able to get further support through masterminds, through courses, and a new app that I'm going to be working on next year. But I am creating a new community where people can build self-leadership as well as resilience to rebuild their life and their career on their terms, becoming mentally and physically resilient. There's going to be offline boot camps as well coming into place. And you can find me on Instagram. Just search for Marty H. Bailey. And yeah, there's going to be a lot on there. And there is going to be an Instagram community support on there as well.
Brilliant. Okay. And that is the next chapter for you as well, Marty. Yeah. You're just building out this coaching business now.
Well, I'm going to be taking it to another level with the coaching because, again, with coaching, for me, it's only the beginning. With the mentoring is another thing. Like, I'm wanting to take it to a stage now where I can get as many people to stand up and say, this is me. I'm going toe to toe with life and nothing is going to stop me. They become unbreakable.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on today, Marty, and sharing your story, sharing your wisdom. Like, this kind of conversation is why I started this podcast.
Yeah.
It's been real, it's been honest, it's been no BS. And I know it's going to help a lot of people
Yeah.
that are listening. So thank you so much for sharing your story, mate.
Thank you very much.
No worries, Marty. Take care.
Okay.